evening, everyone, and happy Monday. I hope it was a great one. Interesting day in the markets in the sense that the Dow closed higher on the day, but the NASDAQ, the tech-heavy NASDAQ, lost 2.5%. So the story continues to be the same in terms of investors having a little bit of concern that we will start to see inflation, that interest rates rise, that you've got a backup in the bond yields, and that's causing investors to sell some of those higher valuation names, the higher multiples. And that, of course, is mostly in the tech sector. So that's why you saw some downward pressure on tech pretty much across the board, and investors moving into some of those more cyclical, value-oriented areas of the market. So the Dow was moved higher by companies in the financial space as well as energy, and also Disney, American Express, Chevron, one of the energy companies, Coca-Cola, IBM. Those were the winning names today. And in fact, you also saw some nice moves higher in the reopening trade area. So think leisure and entertainment. IMAX was up by about 5%. There's an ETF in the United States, ticker is PEJ, that's a leisure and entertainment ETF. That was up by 3%, whereas the work from home names, or ETF, WFH, was down by 3%. So investors are kind of continuing to rotate some of their positions, again, out of some of those higher multiple or go-go momentum names and into some of the more reopening value-oriented areas of the market. So keep that in mind. At the same time, we've talked a little bit about this. Strategists are saying, look, you don't need to be too concerned about rates rising too far or too fast, that we've got an improving economy. In fact, there's been more strategists out there raising their GDP expectations for 2021. The, of course, reason behind that is vaccine optimism. The House is expected to pass a $1.9 trillion stimulus plan by the end of this week. And of course, hospitalizations declining as well in the United States. So those are all the positive reasons for this reopening trade to continue to kind of get some legs here. Away from that, I would point out that WTI oil was up by about 3% or so, definitely helping all the energy stocks here in Canada as well as the United States. I look at the XLE in the United States and the XEG here in Canada. Financial south of the border also participated quite nicely. I look at the XLF there. The XFN here was up by only 0.4%. So we're still, underperforming versus those U.S. names, but keep in mind that the Canadian bank stocks the Canadian banks will start reporting their numbers this week, starting tomorrow morning. So we'll probably see some movement in those stocks this week for sure. Away from that, I'd point out as well that Shopify has been up by about 154% over the past year. They did come out with a share offering after the market closed today, obviously taking advantage of the fact that their share prices moved higher. Keep in mind as well that Score Media is going to become a publicly traded company. That stock has been on fire as of late. And I'd also just point out as well, if you didn't catch my interview with Rafi Tamazian, I just put this out on Saturday. He talked about a company that I wasn't familiar with, Pipestone Energy. That stock up by 11% today. So a lot going on for sure underneath the surface, and we'll keep our eyes on the trend in terms of the trend moving out of some of those tech stocks and into the value-oriented areas of the market. It's had a few starts and stops, so we'll see where it goes from here. Lastly, Bitcoin. That was under a little bit of pressure today after hitting a new high over the weekend. The cryptocurrency markets trade 24/7. But it did pull back today. There were some cautionary comments from former Fed Chair Janet Yellen, now the Treasury Secretary, and also Elon Musk had a slight cautionary comment as well. But we of course also know that he's bought into Bitcoin, and that's one of the key reasons why we've also seen it skyrocket as of late. I'll leave it there. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.